today we're going to speak about creating financial independence for a stay-at-home mom and the importance thereof. Cherise, do you want to shed some light on that?
From the point of a stay-at-home mom, you need to have access to your own investments as well as cash flow, because you're not earning your own income, but you're also equals in your relationship, and there needs to be agreement on how this gets spread. So you need to have discretionary funds in your own name so that if something happens to your husband and he can no longer earn an income, you've got access to capital. And a bank account, a simple thing like a bank account, gives you extra independence because you don't have to worry about cash flow from your husband's side. You can do what you need to do on a day-to-day basis. And that helps a lot from the stay-at-home mom's point of view, having just a little bit of financial independence in that sense.
And I think what's so important is that you are involved in the finances and the budgeting and you have a good understanding. Because there could be two sides to this, right? You could be in a situation where, let's use your husband as an example in this case, is the breadwinner, and he might feel the pressure of having to keep up with a certain lifestyle. And if you don't understand what's going on, let's say his business is struggling and you don't know that it's struggling, you might be living or spending a lifestyle that he can't afford. And if you're not open to these discussions, he might feel the pressure and not actually tell you what's happening. Whereas you would be quite happy to say, oh, you know what, let's just cut back a little bit in our spending. Or vice versa. You might feel guilty and feel like you don't want to spend when there's more than enough. So, I mean, Hannah, if you were advising a couple where, let's say, the husband was an entrepreneur and the wife was a stay-at-home mom, how would you help them navigate through saving in her name and through these difficult discussions?
Exactly. So while a retirement annuity might not be a suitable investment vehicle for someone that's not earning taxable income, you can use the likes of discretionary investments, as Cherise had mentioned, to build up funds in the stay-at-home parent's name. And in the instance where, say, the husband owns a business and he's earning income for the family and it's all being taxed in his name, maybe the wife does some work for the business and is able to earn a salary directly from the business, and therefore it is taxable income, and we can channel a little bit of that into a retirement annuity. So I think there's some risks here for a stay-at-home mom. If you were out of the workforce for quite some time, it's important to keep up to date with the industry that you were in. Should you return to the workforce after raising your children, or you decide to go back to work, ensuring that there's no gap in any technical enhancements. And then also, because there's only one income coming into the household, it's important to have an emergency fund, because there is a higher risk of unemployment or retrenchment or loss of income. You can't now rely on the other income because there was only one income in the first place. So having an emergency fund would then be important.
Yeah. If I can also just jump in, you know, just because you are not necessarily being the breadwinner, I think it's so important that you are involved in the financial planning, because if something happens to you as the mom, it is quite difficult to insure, but you do help with the family responsibilities. So if something happened to you, your husband needs to be in a position where he needs to understand, are there extra funds to get extra help in? Who helps manage the kids? Does the running around from the day-to-day basis? So I think, you know, don't underestimate the importance of what you bring to the table. If just because you're not earning the income doesn't mean you shouldn't be involved and have a plan in place if something happens to you as well.
Yes, exactly. So in the financial planning, the risk is also important. So the risk insurance and understanding what's in place in the event of any of these instances.
And I think from that point of view, you becoming a stay-at-home mom needs to be a joint decision from both partners, and you need to know what your value is that you're bringing into the household just as much as your husband knows what value he's bringing. And you don't have to feel that guilt that you're not bringing in the finances. You are contributing in a different way. And just understanding that and being on the same page and being open with communication so that you know what your lifestyle is, you know what is expected from you. That is where you create independence and just empowering yourself to know what your value is. And I think that's the important part, and being financially independent as a stay-at-home mom.
And you know, it's not the end of creating wealth for yourself. You know, you might just find a hobby or something you're really passionate about that turns into something that's income generating, you know, and that you can use that money to kind of squirrel away for yourself for a later stage.
Yeah, and I think each stay-at-home mom has their own setup and they've got their own way of doing things. So just understanding where you are, understanding what's expected, and getting someone's help, a financial planner, to sit with you and see what can be done and how you plan for the future will alleviate so much stress and anxiety for you, and work on it helps your marriage as well in the long term, and just understanding where you are with one another.